Tell them who you are. So I guess say your name, how old you are, and yeah, that's it.
21.
You're 21, right?
Once upon a time.
Right.
Eugene Harrison Hudson Sr. Well, you know, 94.
94. Okay. So you enlisted. Where were you living at the time? I guess.
I was living in Oklahoma, out in the country, near, I guess you'd say it was near Nowata, Oklahoma, which is a small town.
And why did you join?
Stupid.
Oh my gosh.
No. That was 1940. There were no jobs. We was in a depression, and I didn't have any skills that I could fall back on. So the Navy said that they'd pay me a minimum, incidentally, I tell you, $21 a month.
That's not much. Well, nowadays.
No, it wasn't much back then.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I joined the Navy because there were no jobs to be had.
Why did you pick to be in the Navy?
One of my uncles joined it not too long before, and he's giving me all these tales about where all he'd been and what all he saw. So I figured, well, if I go in the Navy,
Then you can travel.
see the world.
Pretty much. Do you recall your first days in service?
Well, the first days are all the same forever, recruit, because you go in there and you have to go through all this rigmarole to get you your new, what they call a sea bag, which is all your clothing and stuff, and get all your shots, go through all that rigmarole.
So nothing too extreme.
No, not at that time. That came later.
It says, tell me about your boot camp and training experiences.
Well, boot camp is usually the same for everybody. You are going from civilian life to military life, which is obviously a drastic change from one way of living to another. When they told us to report, like I reported to Tulsa, and then they put me up with several other young fellas that was going in at the same time, and we were herded. That's a good way to say it. We herded together and took down to the train depot, put aboard there, and they had one fella that had some kind of a little bit of military training in a way, and he was put in charge. Of course, he didn't know any more than we did. Well, the very first place is when I went down to Tulsa, and the guy that was already in the Navy that run the office there, he tried to give us a bad time. Didn't work.
Oh, this one's good. Where exactly did you go?
Where did I go?
Yes.
Where didn't I go?
True. Okay, then give me 5 of your favorites in chronological order, I guess.
In chronological order.
I guess from like the greatest to the least. Well, not the least, but starting with your greatest favorite.
Brisbane, Australia.
Cool.
Good Liberty Town.
Interesting.
I wasn't married, and man,
Pretty ladies?
yeah.
Yeah.
Not only that, but they liked American sailors.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because we had more money than the Aussies did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they didn't, their pay was a whole lot less than ours.
I didn't know
Of
that.
course, we are not all that well-to-do, but we doing pretty good. Me and one of my buddies went over to a cafe one night there in Brisbane, and we ordered, I don't know what it was, something pretty good. They brought it out. They gave you fairly small orders. And so I told this little waitress, she was a cute little girl. And
Sorry.
I said, why don't you bring us another order at that? That wasn't very much. Well, she said, I can't do that. I said, what do you mean? Well, we're limited to having one order per customer. That's it.
Wow.
I said, I'm going to ask you a question. Suppose we get up from here, go up, pay our bill, and go out, and then turn around and come back. Are we a new customer?
Just say yes.
Yeah, I guess so. I said, all right, just pretend we did. Go ahead and bring us.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So, you know what her reply was?
Mm-mm.
I'll do that if you'll take me and my girlfriend out to eat when we get off.
Oh.
She was pretty cute. And I said, well, let me ask my buddy. He said, which one's her girlfriend? I want to see who she is first.
Right, yeah.
So I asked her, I said, which girl are we talking about? She pointed her out. He said, yeah, okay, we'll go with that.
So she was good enough for him.
Yeah, so we went ahead and made a deal and took them out. After they had fed us, then we had to take that. But in the meantime, got to think, oh, hey, that's not bad because we just got through eating. We don't have to spend for another meal.
Mm-hmm.
That worked all right.
It's pretty good. Which battle is most memorable?
Did you ever hear Guadalcanal?
Guada?
Guadal. Guadalcanal.
I haven't.
Well, that's part of ancient history and World War II. We went into Wellington, New Zealand, where we had the British controlled it, so it was still in good hands. And I gotta tell you, we went into Brisbane. We were in a lot of battles, obviously, but the one the most memorable was when the Marines landed on Guadalcanal. We went into New Zealand, where they had been dropped off from the transports, and then we went down there, and the fleet that was assembled there was the one that was going into Guadalcanal. Now that was the first really big offensive action in World War II. And the Japanese were sending in reinforcements. We had several battles right there during that. And I don't know, it was, You know how many years ago that was?
Yeah, I understand. It's okay. I would.
That's
It
the
would be
reason
hard
I'm
for me to remember.
hesitating. I'm trying to collect my thoughts from
Yeah.
many years ago.
Yeah. So, how did you stay in touch with your family?
By mail, and the mail was slow,
Snail mail.
snail mail.
Yeah.
And not only snail mail, but it was a restricted snail mail. That
Oh
was,
gosh.
when the war started, they come around after we'd been at war for some time and told us that we were all going to have to write to our folks so that let them know that we were still in this world.
So, what was the food like?
Food,
On the ship.
it depended.
Oh.
It depended on whether we had got into battles and got shot up and was waiting to get back into port where we could get some food. We were just about ran out of food one time. And they said they could not release us to go in to a place where we could pick up food because we had lost too many ships. So I know one time we was trying to decide what it was that was feeding us.
Oh. That wasn't that good then, huh?
I guarantee you one thing, if you get hungry enough, you'll eat most anything.
Yeah, for sure. I've never been to that point, thank God, but I'm sure, yeah.
You say, yeah, that's, I don't know what it is, but it tastes all right. It'll go ahead.
They'll just fill in those empty spots.
Right.
During, I guess, the whole time, did you feel pressure or stress? I mean, I'm sure you did.
If you're waiting to get shot,
Yeah. There's some anxiety there.
you do feel a little stress.
Yeah. Was before every day or every battle, was there something special you did for good luck? Nothing.
Never thought about it.
Yeah.
It wasn't luck. It was whether the guy was aiming at you or not, you know.
Yeah. So how did people entertain themselves?
Oh, we had what we call smokers. If we went into port, if we was fortunate enough to go back into port somewhere, the Navy had some touring musicians and stuff. They'd send around. If you're fortunate to get one, it has some entertainment. And then other than that, we had movies. The reason I'm laughing is because you got these movies getting old to begin with. And then send several of them over to your ship. And we had movies down on the what we call the mess deck, because they didn't have the top side. The mess is food.
Oh, okay.
So we go down there, and now you're in the tropics. It's hot.
Yeah.
You take 500 men in a closed space.
Gets musty. A little stinky.
Yeah. So you had nothing else. If you're not on watch, there's nothing else to do except the little bit of maintenance that you did for a ship. So we saw the same movies over and over.
Oh, wow. What did you think of officers or fellow sailors, I guess?
Well, some officers were good ones, some were not, just like everybody else. In our rank or steps of command, if you first come aboard a ship, you were nothing.
Yeah, I could see that.
You gradually worked up. I went into this deck division, and I was, like everybody else, I started at the bottom. And I tried to get out and get a better position. And I was having ideas on what I want to do. Is my division officer, who was a lieutenant, told me, said, Hudson, forget about that. You're not going anywhere except in this division, so make the best of it.
Wow. Pretty harsh.
So I thought, if that's the way it is, that's the way it is. So I started studying, passed my exams. There was a guy in the ship in my division that he'd been in some time before, more than I had, and he wanted me to know that he was senior to me because he'd been in longer.
Yeah.
I said, yeah. Every time we had exams, and if him and I both went up and took the same exam, when they was printed out, they sent out a notice when they had the grades out and everything, who'd passed and who hadn't. And this old boy, I don't know why it was me, but anyway, he would come around if we both went up for the same rate. We both made it. He said, now Hudson, I'm senior to you, had more time and rate. I said, so?
Yeah.
No big deal. Well, don't you forget it. I said, okay. Well, we went on and went up for a higher rate, first class. I passed, he didn't.
Wow. You showed him wrong.
He come around and says, now this test that I passed made me in charge of that division.
Oh, wow. So now you were in charge of him.
I'm in charge of him. He come around and says, Hudson, would you put me in charge of topside as a choice place? I said, no, Dodge, I got a better job for you. Now, obviously this is not a Christian way of thinking.
Well, yeah. Do you remember the day that your service ended? I guess when World War II ended?
Yeah.
Was that a pretty nice day?
Well, Granny and I had been married a very short period of time. Well, the war had ended before we got married because she wouldn't marry me as long as the war was going on.
Oh, that would make sense. I mean, that would suck. I mean, you guys got married, then you like die or something.
Yeah.
That would, yeah.
Yeah.
I understand her motives there.
Yeah, she was pretty smart.
Yeah. But did you go to work or did you go back to school after? You went
I
to
didn't
work.
go to school.
Right.
I had a wife and then I had a baby. So
So I had to go to work, take care
you
of
gotta
them.
make some money.
Right. What did you go on to do as a career after the war?
different jobs I had.
Oh.
I go, I didn't like them. Granny says, I want to go to Dallas. I told her, I said, tell you what you do. If you can save enough money where we can ship the stuff back that we have accumulated, we'll go.
And she did it.
Man, she tight as thing. You talk about tight. She was tighter than the bark on a tree.
Wow.
She wouldn't spend a dime for nothing. She was gonna
She
come
wanted to
back
go
to
back.
Dallas. Which obviously we did.
Yeah, that's good. Some dedication.
So that's where I ended up.
That's all that I have here, so thank you very much for letting me interview you.
You're more than welcome.
I definitely learned some things I haven't heard. Just a few. Okay, dinner's ready.
Maria Elena, you're the answer to a prayer. Maria Elena, can't you see how much I care? To me, your voice is like the echo of a sigh. And when you're near, my heart can't speak above a sigh. Maria Elena, say that we will never part. Maria Elena, take me to your heart. A love like mine is great enough for two. To share this love is really all.
You're watching Fox 4 News at 9.
63 years ago this week, the world changed forever by an American weapon. In August 1945, the United States dropped nuclear weapons on two major Japanese cities. The war ended without an American invasion, but effects of nuclear technology are still being felt today. For many, it's difficult to understand the decision. Eugene Hudson was there and shares his perspective. Eugene Hudson proudly displays the medals and ribbons that tell the world he belongs to the greatest generation.
I joined the Navy in 1940 down at the post office downtown. I was sent to San Diego for training. 6 weeks later, I was on the USS Salt Lake City, a heavy cruiser.
By sheer luck, Hudson's ship was not in port when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, which sent him and millions of young Americans like him to war.
Wartime. Your mindset is completely different when you sit back here and at ease and think about things. At that time, you have one objective: to win. That's it. The method you use is supposed to be limited by certain treaties, but they're ignored all the time. And so we were, hey, whatever they could come up with to end the war was all for us. We was for it.
The weapon that made it happen was a nuclear device, one dropped on Hiroshima, Japan, August 6, 1945. The second dropped on Nagasaki 3 days later. Both cities were completely destroyed, killing hundreds of thousands of people, many from the lingering effects of the radiation.
Yeah, because we had worked all the way through the chain of islands up to getting to their home, where that was the logical place to go. Because at that time, it was unconditional surrender. There was none of this bartering. You either gave up or you didn't give up, and that was all. So that's what they was trying to do, was to obliterate them, I guess you'd say.
For the millions of American men in uniform like Eugene Hudson, the atomic bomb stood between them and a bloody invasion of the Japanese home islands.
I'm a little disturbed about the ones who at this date come along who may, some are not even born, and say, well, that was the wrong thing to do, it was morally wrong and everything. All I can say, if they were living at that time and they were involved in the warfare, their feelings and their mindset would have been changed considerably. You're trained to do one thing. That is to defeat the enemy. Any method you can use to do that, have at it. I never had any misgivings about it. Still don't.
Eugene Hudson left the Navy as a Chief Petty Officer. He's just one of the veterans who has shared his story with the Texas Veterans Land Board, which is compiling a database of recorded memories from those who served. If you know a World War II veteran with a story to share, check out the Voices of Veterans website. We've linked to it at myfoxdfw.com. Just search veterans.